Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Austin here. We're back in Magic Arena playing some Courtside Brawl. Today's deck is going to be with the Savage Hunter precon. And so this is Korvold. It is a sacrifice value deck. So whenever you sacrifice a permanent, you put a +1/+1 counter on Korvold and draw a card. That happens when this enters the battlefield or attacks. And so this entire deck revolves around being able to utilize tokens, utilize sacrifice outlets, and just really be able to, take advantage of your opponents with this very powerful flyer. I mean, it enters in as a 5/5 and just kind of grows from there. You've got the golden egg for some card draw, Mask of Immolation. You can sacrifice the creature to draw cards with your commander, deal damage. Once you sacrifice these permanents, Judith is gonna get damage in, Vindictive Vampire the same way, and then once your graveyard's filled up, you can close things out with a Zoni Thousand-Eyed, or just swarm your opponents with plenty of tokens from Zoni or from Krenko, and really just close out the game and outvalue your opponent. So let's get into the game. Let's see how this goes. All right, we are playing the Korvold deck, and we are gonna see who we're paired up against. All right, let's face off against those Mardu Knights. As far as this hand goes, I only have 2 lands, and I'm going first, so it might be better to take the free mulligan, even though, some of this seems like pretty good against our opponent, but let's take the mulligan. Okay, well, no non-basics, but we get Rhythm of the Wild, which is a very powerful card, and we hit 3 land drops, so let's keep this and get things going. I'm going to lead on a Swamp. That way we can play the Orzhov Enforcer on turn 2. Sacrifice it, make a Spirit with our Korvold. Opponent plays a Temple of Triumph, scrying 1 to the top. Okay, let's go Forest, Orzhov Enforcer. Pass things back. Yeah, I think we should fare pretty well against the Orzhov Knights, or the Mardu Knights. Angrath, okay, draw a command tower, so this way we'll get to keep hitting our land drops. Let's play Rhythm of the Wild. And head to combat. Opponent has no blockers. Get in for 1. They can play something and give it haste with these crystal slippers. No hexproof or shroud, but haste is pretty good for just 2 mana. Alright. Looks like they're just setting things up with the Icon of Ancestry. They're going to be able to, play their knight tribal creatures and really give them some value. Okay. We draw into Paradise Druid, so we could go Crate Maker Paradise Druid and get rid of the icon, but I think we're just gonna, since our opponent still hasn't played any blockers, let's start to amass an army. And attack. We're up against an aggressive deck, so another aggressive strategy from us should be pretty good. Let's see what our opponent wants to do. We're also making plenty of permanents to be able to interact with what our opponent has going on. And sacrifice them. Oh, okay. Vindictive Vampire. Nice. Okay, so why don't we play Paradise Druid? See if our opponent wants to respond here. Let's give it haste. That way we can also play the Vindictive Vampire. And we'll give that the +1/+1 counter. Put it up to a 3/4. And our opponent has 3 mana open, but let's keep things going. Make our army bigger. Up to a 4/4. See how our opponent wants to respond. And get in for 5. Riot Menace Death Touch. Everything you need. And yeah. Okay, our opponent gets to go look at the top 3 cards of the library, see if they can hit a knight. Looks like we got the Foulmire Knight. They can draw a card or put out a creature with Death Touch. They're at 18, so we got quite a bit of damage on board. All that needs to be double blocked, so let's see what our opponent wants to do. Okay, so they are just playing out the Foulmire Knight, 2/2 with Death Touch. Anything else here from them? Gonna need another blocker. Okay, we draw Judith. I think we stack up the death triggers. Keep them coming. So we will play Judith. And give Judith a +1/+1 counter. Want to keep it around for a bit longer. And since our opponent really isn't doing much else, let's play Goblin Crate Maker. And this will also get a +1/+1 counter. And head to combat. I'm going to leave Paradise Druid back just so that I can activate Crate Maker's ability. We're going to get in with the Vindictive Vampire, the Orzhov Enforcer, and the army. See if our opponent wants to respond in some way. Can't block. But they're going to take, if they have no responses, they're going to take 11 damage here. And if our creatures start dying, well, that's going to be a problem for them. 2 damage on each death of a non-creature token. They board wipe and we win. Okay. Alright, so they're going to response, deal 5 damage to Vindictive Vampire. Judith's going to trigger. We're going to send 1 damage up top since they can't block. Alright. For some reason I thought Vindictive Vampire triggered off itself, but it's when another creature dies. They got 1 mana remaining. Yep. Put them down to 10. Alright. And we'll just pass back. That way, like I said, we have the Crate Maker. We have a couple blockers too. I mean, they're not going to do much else than attack with this 2/2 Death Toucher and maybe kill Angrath, but I don't... I mean, it kind of put in its work already. Plus we get to play a hasty Korvold next turn. Like I said, board wipe does not matter here. Alright. Belle of the Brawl. Coming down. Menace. Okay. Looks like they're passing back to us. They're going to be able to block 1 thing, but I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. Because we're going to play Korvold. We're going to give a haste. And sacrifice... I believe I'm just going to sacrifice a land. Make it a 6/5. I mean, even if they double block our zombie army and Paradise Druid, it does not looking good for them. So head to combat. I got 1 mana open, and opponent scoops it up. All right, good game, good game. All right, let's get into the next one. Okay, we are playing some Savage Hunter, Precon, Jund, Dragon, Korvold gameplay. It's gonna be fun. This is one of the stronger Precons, in my opinion. And looks like we're up against Mardu Knights again. So let's run it back. Let's see if we can deal with what our opponent's got. Rhythm of the Wild put in a lot of work last game, but there's not much else going on. If one of these were a Scryland, I'd be a little bit safer. But we're gonna mulligan. Okay. We can make this work. We're gonna have to make this work. I don't really feel like going down to 6. So Jungle Hollow, gain a life. Even if our opponent comes out a little aggressive, I think we're okay to like sit back and build up some value with some of our sacrifice outlets and destruction. All right, drew a guild gate, so nothing I can play turn 2, so we're just going to play the tap land. Probably run out Mayhem Devil. Want to save Evolution Sage for when we can make our land drops. Need another green source for the Thrashing Brontodon. And looking for a serious target for what our opponent has going on. So yep, here comes the Mayhem Devil. 3/3. Anytime I sacrifice a permanent, deal a damage. Anytime I sacrifice a permanent, draw a card. Tap land for our opponent. See if they want to play another knight to go with their soldier. Alright. Another nice equipment that creates a body to attach itself to. So if I block here, they can just sacrifice the elemental, so we're gonna take the 2. Okay, we draw a Stomping Ground. No reason to play out the Evolution Sage just yet. There's nothing really to proliferate. We could run out Thrashing Brontodon and kind of threaten our opponent's equipments. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to pay 2 life, shock this in, run out Thrashing Brontodon. It's a nice 3/4 too. Good body, and when it sacrifices itself, it'll deal a damage too. So that's pretty helpful. Attack with the Mayhem Devil. If our opponent wants to block here, that's perfectly fine. But they'll probably just take the 3, which they are. And we'll pass back. It would be great to keep hitting our land drops. If not, we'll just, see what our opponent wants to do. We can play out Crate Maker, maybe bake something into a pie. Okay. Tap land. Ooh, Corpse Knight. Love Corpse Knight. Causes each opponent to lose 1 life. Which, in a 2-player game. Okay, Plague Crafter. Right. So, what our opponent has going on isn't that crazy. I mean, if we sacrifice the Brontodon right now, we could kill the Ancestral Blade and get rid of the Elemental, and they send a damage up top. Then we can Plague Crafter if we want to. I feel like that's going to be a good option. We'll be able to get in quite a bit of damage. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's sacrifice the Brontodon, kill the Ancestral Blade, and force them to... Actually, let's try and kill the Corpse Knight. Because here's the thing, if they want to sacrifice the elemental in response, then they lose all their creatures, and they have no blockers. So we're going to play Crafter. Since we didn't draw land, we're just going to kind of try and temple them out. Get rid of their board state, and then deal with everything else later. So I'll sacrifice the Plate Crafter. They're forced to either sacrifice the Corpse Knight or sacrifice the Soldier, and then we send 1 damage to the Corpse Knight. Do we get 2? 1 to the Corpse Knight. No reason to send it to the Elemental. They'll just sacrifice it in response. Okay. 1 damage to our opponent. Okay. So they're going to keep it alive by giving it +2/+2. I don't think we're going to attack. No reason to, but at least we get that card out of their hand. The intervention half of that is pretty strong, dealing 3 damage to something. Kill our Mayhem Devil, so... At least we force that card out of their hand. And we still got plenty of removal. Even Taste of Death can really deal with some of what our opponent's trying to do. Alright. Let's just Dreadhorde Invasion. I'm debating on attacking here, just because our opponent might be forced to double block. Or sacrifice their elemental, but... Since our opponent hasn't done much else either, let's just pass from here. That way we can Crate Maker next turn and maybe destroy an equipment or... Our opponent's definitely going to cast. There it is. Sir Gwen. We just want to get rid of that as soon as possible. 0 cost equips are pretty good. If they want to move that over to something else, that's fine too. Attacking with the elemental. Ah, okay. Well, I mean, we're just gonna block the elemental. Yeah, you get a card draw, but we'll take 2. You can sack it in response. Equipped it up to something else. We'll send this up to top to our opponent. So go to 18. They're going to re-equip the mask. We're going to amass an army. Savvy Hunter, not a land. Can sacrifice 2 food to draw a card, though. And we are going to create a food right here. Kill our opponent's commander. They'll have to recast it for 8 mana. There's our food token. We're going to attack with our Mayhem Devil. Put our opponent down to 17. And I don't think we're going to block with our army. If our opponent wants to sack their Corpse Knight and kill it, that's fine. But we're really just looking to make a big enough army to where we can gain lifelink with it. Or use it to sacrifice to Korvold later. Alright, take a damage. Inspiring Veteran makes the Corpse Knight just a little bit stronger. We'll take 3. I'm willing to keep making this trade currently until we can get some lands and get our own commander out. Ooh, Thorn Mammoth. A little overcosted, but man, will be good later. Attacks or blocks. So yeah, let's get this out. It's a 3/3. I'm going to want to sacrifice 2 foods to our Mayhem Devil at some point. Alright. I don't think our opponent's going to block, and honestly, neither are we. I mean, if they choose to block, that's up to them, but we're going to keep trading with their life total until we choose to really get them low enough to probably kill them with Mayhem Devil. Or they kill us with this Steel Claw Lance, making their Corpse Knight real strong. It's up to a 5/5. No blocks. We'll go down to 7. Like I said, we can get our opponent low enough. They've got 3 cards in hand, 4 mana remaining. So really, if they just want to do... Oh, okay. That's smart. Move it over to the Inspiring Veteran, so they have some good blockers, but I don't know if it's going to do what they hope. Honestly, though, we might just lose to this, lose to our own army card. Okay, so when this attacks, we get to create a food, and I don't know if I want to keep making an army. Let's cast Korvold. I'm at 6 life, and so we're going to sacrifice the Dreadhorde invasion, and that's going to cause a couple things to trigger. We're going to deal a damage to the Inspiring Veteran. Draw a Zoni Thousand-Eyed. Okay. I could get us some life back if we so choose. We're going to attack with the Army and the Savvy Hunter. I want to keep Mayhem Devil to, well, sacrifice our food, gain some life back, and, you know, deal some damage up top with the Mayhem Devil. Because we got 5 mana. Plenty of food. Plus Korvold can get in for some damage next turn, and that'll get us some nice value, some nice card draw, and damage. So let's see what our opponent wants to do here. No blocks? Alright. This is your turn, opponent. at any point we can sacrifice 2 food to draw a card. So I think I'm going to wait just because I could either sacrifice them to gain life or sacrifice them to draw cards. Force our opponent to kind of react to what it is that we're doing. Okay, Despark. Well, that's going to kill our commander. We can only draw a single card and deal 2 damage. So let's let that resolve. Put Korvold back in the command zone. As much as I'd like to draw the 2 cards right now, I kind of want to give myself the option to gain 6 life later. Or react to whatever our opponent's doing on their turn. Like, we can sacrifice them and deal 2 damage up top, and even if they all out attack, you know, it kind of puts them in an awkward position because we block with the Mayhem Devil and then start killing their stuff. Okay, so that's going to tap down our creatures. I think that's actually going to cost us the game here because that's 7 damage. That is unfortunate. Alright, sacrifice 2 food, draw a card. There's honestly nothing we can do here. 2 damage to the Corpse Knight. And then we lose. Good game, opponent. Okay, on to the next one. All right, we are playing with the Savage Hunter pre-constructed deck on Arena, and we are going with our Korvold. Let's see what we're up against. Up against the Chulane precon, so card draw and value from our opponents. We got a decent hand. Angrath turn 4 is pretty good, and if we can ramp up into the Storm Mammoth, I'm pretty happy with it. Like the amount of value that you get with that card playing creatures is pretty good. So we're just gonna play Evolving Wild and go and grab one of our. I want to say, yeah, let's grab a mountain. Pass back over to our opponent. So one of the things I think I want to do is get down this Woodland Champion sooner rather than later, because the more aggressive you are against the Chulane deck, the more damage you can get in early, the more you can kind of force your opponent out of this game before they're able to get too much value off of that commander. Okay. So we are going to play a Stomping Grounds tapped, throw down the Mask of Immolation, create a token, put a +1/+1 counter on our champion, and head to combat. Swing in for 3. Our opponent gained a couple life from these lands, so if our opponent ever taps down the Paradise Druid as well, we just get to kill it. Put our opponent down a mana, even though they get to get out their commander. Okay, we draw Dread Horde Invasion. We could put another counter on this Woodland Champion. That way we can get in with it. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. So, thanks to Evolution Sage, Woodland Champion is going to proliferate. And that'll get us in for 4. Put our opponent down to 20. So our opponent is going to get a little bit of value off of this. Hopefully they can't play more than 1 or 2 creatures. And we'll be able to get in for another chunk of damage. Ooh, Prison Realm coming down. So they're looking to deal with our Woodland Champion, which is actually pretty nice that they're that worried about it. No blocks. Unfortunately, we cannot trade with this Vigilant commander. But what we can do is get down Angrath, start amassing an army, play a land, scry with the Temple of Malady. Ooh, I feel like we're doing okay on lands right now, although if we keep it, we get to play our Thorn Mammoth, which is kind of one of our major outs. So Evolution Sage is going to proliferate those two things, and we're not going to attack because, well, it'll kill our Evolution Sage. Okay, so they get to draw a card here. It's pretty good for them. And put something on top, so go 4 deep, pick something, put an island, and they'll get to, if they cast another creature, get to draw it. Put it in there. Put it into play. So unfortunately we have to wait 2 turns to be able to do exactly what we want to, but I'm pretty satisfied with being able to continue proliferating our army in Angrath, because Dreadhorde Invasion means we get to start gaining life and really hurting our opponent's life total. So we draw that command tower. Since we can't quite cast the Thorn Mammoth just yet, it almost might be good to play Korvold, sacrificing the mask. You know, let's go ahead and do that. Let's play Korvold. Gaining life from the Dreadhorde Invasion doesn't seem quite powerful enough to deal with what our opponent's got going on. Okay, so they're gonna cast Runaway together, bouncing both our creatures. But we do get a +1/+1 counter on our Korvold, and amass another army. Since we can't do anything with the remaining mana, play a tap land. And yeah, we're just gonna proliferate everything. No attacks with the Evolution Sage again. It is not gonna be able to get in with our opponent's blockers. So this is it. This is the turn. We get to get down that Thorn Mammoth and see what our opponent has to respond to what we're doing. Because even though they're getting a lot of value, like grabbing Shark to Crab and putting it on top, they could tap down our commander once they play it and then adapt it. But it just really depends on what they got going on in their hand. They got 5-6 mana remaining, so really gives them a couple options. And our opponent scoops it up. I mean, they must have seen the Thorn Mammoth coming. All right, good game. Okay, so as far as the Savage Hunter deck goes, this deck really performed when it went well. I mean, our creatures really swarmed the battle. We lost that one game where we kind of were trying to race our opponent and didn't quite prepare for the tapping down of our creatures, and that kind of cost us the game at the end there. But I mean, we could trade blows back and forth between the Mardu deck and really just kind of out aggroed the aggro precon. So I really enjoyed Korvold and just all the incremental value you got from being able to deal damage and attack into your opponents. It was a crazy deck, and I definitely recommend this one. So yeah, that's Korvold, the Fae-Cursed King. This deck was a lot of fun, and so definitely tell me what you thought about it. If you had experience with it yourself, maybe you kind of things were a little bit different for you. Maybe things played out pretty similarly. Let me know what you think about the deck, and if you'd like to see more Brawl content, we'll have links to the other videos. We kind of played through all the decks here, and those will be in the description. And if you want to see more Brawl content, let us know.